Integration by trigonometric substitution. Meron tayong tatlong case ng problems dito, no, sa topic na ito. Ang case number 1, when the integrand contains square root of a squared minus u squared. So, ating substitution ay u equals a sine of theta. Dito sa case nito, gagamit tayo ng identity na 1 minus sine squared theta equals cosine squared theta. Case 2 naman, when the integrand contains square root of a squared plus u squared. So, dito sa square root of a squared plus u squared, pwedeng magkapalit yung pwesto ng a squared at ng u squared. Dahil ang ating operation ay addition. So, dito sa case na ito, use u equals a tangent of theta. At sa case nito, gagamit tayo ng identity na 1 plus tangent squared theta equals secant squared theta. At ang panghuling case natin ay when the integrand contains square root of u squared minus a squared. Ang ating substitution na gagamitin, u equals a secant of theta. So, dito sa case nito, gagamit tayo ng identity na secant squared theta minus 1 equals tangent squared. So, case 1, case 2, and case 3. Okay, so bago tayo magbigay ng example, mag-review muna tayo ng ating trigonometry, no? Review natin yung 6 trigonometric functions, no? So, consider natin yung right triangle whose sides are A, B, and C. And then let us consider this angle equal to angle theta. So, this is an acute angle, ano? So, with respect to angle theta, side A is the opposite side, ano? The side opposite angle theta. Side B is the side adjacent to angle theta. Adjacent. And C, the hypotenuse, no? When we say hypotenuse, the longest side in a right triangle. Okay. So, these are the 6 trigonometric functions. Ano? When we say sine theta, this is equal to the opposite divided by the hypotenuse, or A over C. Ano? A divided by C. Opposite divided by the hypotenuse. And then cosine theta, this is the adjacent side divided by the hypotenuse. So, adjacent side divided by the hypotenuse. And then tangent theta equals opposite divided by the adjacent side. So, opposite divided by the adjacent side. Okay? So, sine theta, opposite divided by the hypotenuse, so A over C, no? Cosine theta, adjacent divided by the hypotenuse, B over C, no? B over C. Tangent theta, opposite, no? Divided by the adjacent side, A over B, or A over B. Cotangent theta equals the adjacent side divided by the opposite, B over A. Secant theta is hypotenuse divided by the adjacent side, C over B. Cosecant theta is hypotenuse divided by the opposite, C over A. So, you can see here that tangent and cotangent are reciprocal functions, no? Ang tangent, A over B, ang cotangent, B over A. Cosine and secant are reciprocal functions. Ang cosine, B over C, ang secant, C over V. Ang sine at cosecant ay reciprocal functions din. So, dito sa sine, A over C, sa cosecant C over A. Okay. So, para madali nating matandaan yung definitions ng 6 trigonometric functions, no? So, gamitin natin itong 6 na words na ito. So, pa, towa, pau, seka, poseko. Ano ibig sabihin ito? So means sine is opposite divided by the hypotenuse. Cosine, ka means cosine is adjacent side divided by the hypotenuse. Towa means tangent is opposite divided by the adjacent side. Kau means cotangent. No, C is cotangent, adjacent side divided by the opposite. Seka means secant is hypotenuse divided by the adjacent side. Cosecant means cosecant is hypotenuse divided by the opposite side. Okay, next. The Pythagorean Theorem. No. So again, let us consider the right triangle ABC, no? So the Pythagorean Theorem states that the square of the hypotenuse equal to the sum of the squares of the other two sides, no? A squared plus B squared. So if you want C, then C will become square root of A squared plus B squared. Sa B naman, B equals square root of C squared minus A squared. At sa A, equals square root of C squared minus B squared. So, nireview natin itong mga ito dahil gagamitin natin ito sa solution ng integration by trigonometric substitution. Okay. So, let us have example, no? Okay, bigay tayo ng example. Okay, so ito na yung ating example number 1, no? O, example para sa case 1. So, ang case 1 natin, when the integrand contains square root of A squared minus U squared, no? So, A ay constant, U ay variable. So, ang substitution natin gagamitin para maging masimplify yung problem ay U equals A sin theta. So, we will have two solutions here and this is solution number 1. Ano? So, example para sa case number 1. So, ang given natin, integral of dx divided by x squared square root of 4 minus x squared. So, ang una natin gagawin ay alamin muna natin kung saang case ba siya kasali. Case 1 ba? Case 2? O case 3? No? Okay. So, itong given natin ay equal din siya sa integral of dx divided by so x squared and then we have square root. So yung 4 ay equal din siya sa 2 squared and then minus x squared. So you see, square root of 2 squared minus x squared takes the form of square root of a squared minus u squared. Kaya siya case 1. So, ang gagamitin nating substitution, u equals a sine of theta. Okay. So, dito sa ating problem, ang a natin ay 2. No? So, a equals 2. A equals 2. Ang u natin ay yung x. U equals x. Ito ang ating substitution. U equals a sine of theta. So let u equals a sine of theta. Okay. So, yung u equals sa x. So, yung u na yung papalitan ng x. Yun namang a equals sa 2. So, yung a na yun papalitan ng 2. So, mayroon tayong 2 sin theta. Pagkatapos nun, kukuha tayo ng derivative both sides. No? So, derivative ng x ay dx. Derivative of 2 sine theta equals 2 cosine theta d theta. Kaya rin yan ay magkakaroon na tayo ng substitution. Gagamit na tayo ng substitution. So we have the integral sign. So drawing natin yung integral sign. And then we have the dx. No? So yung dx equals sa 2 cosine theta d theta. So papalitan natin yun ng 2 cosine theta d theta. Tapos meron tayong division line. So guhit natin yung division line. And then we have x. No? So yung x na yun equals sa 2 sine theta. So kapalitan siya ng 2 sine theta. Ngayon, yung x ay naka-squared. Kaya ang gagawin natin ay i-squarein din natin itong 2 sine theta. As we have the square root. So, yung 2 squared equals sa 4. Minus. Tapos yung x. So, yung x naman equals sa 2 sine theta. So, papalitan siya ng 2 sine theta. So, 2 sine theta. Kaya rin, yung x ay naka-squared. So, i-squarein din natin ito. Okay. So, meron tayong integral of. So, kopya lang yung numerator. 2 cosine theta d theta. So, divided by. No. So, 2 squared is 2 squared, of course. No. And then, meron tayong sine squared. So, sine squared of theta. And then, we will have square root of 4. And then, minus. So, 2 squared is 4. And then we have sine squared of theta. Sine squared of theta. Okay. So, dito, cancel ang 2. No? Cancel ang 2. So, cancelin natin. Okay. So, let us rewrite the integral. No? So, natira lang sa numerator cosine theta d theta. So, cosine theta d theta. So, divided by. So, dahil na-cancel na yung isang 2, matitira lang dito ay 2. So, 2. Tapos, meron tayong sine squared theta. Sine squared theta. Tapos, meron tayong square root. So, dito, there is a common factor 4. So, to-factor out natin yung 4. So, ang natira din sa 4 ay 1. Ang natira sa 4 sine squared ay sine squared of theta. Ngayon, yung 1 minus sine squared theta equals sa cosine squared of theta. So, papalitan natin siya ng cosine squared of theta. Okay? So, meron tayong integral sign. And then we have the numerator, cosine theta, d theta. Divided by 2. There we have sine squared theta. Square root of 4. And then 1 minus sine squared equals cosine squared theta. Okay. Kaya nun ay kukuha natin yung square root ng 4 cosine squared theta. So, I will have integral of cosine theta d theta divided by 2 and then times sine squared theta. Square root ng 4 ay 2. At square root ng cosine squared ay cosine of theta. So, dito, cancel ngayon ang cosine theta. No? So, let us cancel cosine theta. So, ang natira, meron tayong integral sign. So, ang natira sa numerator ay d theta. D theta. So, divided by. So, 2 times 2 equals 4. And then, sine squared of theta. Sine squared of theta. Okay. So, 1 over 4 yung ating constant. So, lalabas natin yung 1 over 4 na ating constant. Tapos, meron tayong integral sign. And then, 1 divided by sine squared ay cosecant squared. Cosecant squared theta d theta. Cosecant squared theta d theta. Okay. So, itong integral of cosecant squared theta d theta ay readily integrable na siya. At ang integral niya ay negative cotangent of theta. Kaya magiging sagot natin, negative 1/4 cotangent of theta plus c. Okay. So, ngayon, yung ating final answer, hindi natin iniiwanan in terms of cotangent of theta, no? Or in terms of theta. No? So, ang gagawin natin, hahanapin natin yung equivalent ng cotangent of theta in terms of x, no? So, dahil ang given natin ay in terms of x. So, babalik tayo dito sa ating substitution. So, from x equals to sine theta. So, dito, pag sinolve natin yung sine theta, sine theta will be equal to x divided by 2. So, x divided by 2. And then, by definition, no, sine is opposite divided by the hypotenuse. So, ito ay opposite side, no. Ito naman yung hypotenuse. Okay. So, if we are going to draw the right triangle defined by this equation, sine theta equals x over 2. No? So, let's draw the right triangle. So, let us say that this is the angle theta. So, the opposite side of the right triangle will be x. Ayan. And the hypotenuse will be 2. So, this is the hypotenuse. So, this is equal to. And then by Pythagorean Theorem, no, the adjacent side will become square root of the square of the hypotenuse. 2 squared ay 4. And then minus the square of x. So that's x squared. So dito sa right triangle na ito, dito natin ngayon kukunin yung equivalent ng cotangent theta in terms of x. Cotangent, this is the reciprocal of tangent. Ang tangent, opposite divided by the adjacent side. Kaya ang cotangent, adjacent side, divided by the opposite. So, cotangent of theta equals adjacent side divided by the opposite side. No? So, cotangent of theta equals, so yung adjacent side natin, square root of 4 minus x squared. Square root of 4 minus x squared. Tapos, divided by the opposite side, no, with respect to angle theta, so that's x. So, ito ngayon yung equivalent ng cotangent theta in terms of x. So, substitute natin siya dito sa ating sagot, no. So, I will have negative 1/4. So, cotangent, ito ang equivalent niya, square root of 4 minus x squared divided by x and then plus c. No? So, yung integral ng dx divided by x squared times square root of 4 minus x squared. No? So, integral of dx divided by x squared times square root of 4 minus x squared. Will now equal 2. So, negative 1 times square root of 4 minus x squared ay negative square root of 4 minus x squared. And then, divided by, so 4 times x ay 4x. And then, plus c. Okay, so this is now our answer. Ito naman ang ating solution number 2. Ano? So, nasa case 1 pa rin tayo. Integral contains square root of a squared minus q squared. Ang ating substitution, u equals a sine theta. So, ito yung ating unang example. Sasagutan natin in another way. Ano? So, meron tayong given, integral of dx divided by x squared times square root of 4 minus x squared. Okay. So, equal din sa integral of lipat ko lang ilaw at natatakpan pala. Okay, okay, so parang mas okay siya, no? So, equal din siya sa integral of dx. So, divided by square root of x squared and then square root of 4 minus x squared. 4 minus x squared ay equal din sa 2 squared minus x squared. Okay. So, yung a natin yung 2. Yung u natin yung x. A equals 2. So, a equals 2. U natin equals sa x. So, ating substitution, u equals a sine theta. So, u equals a sine theta. Okay. So, dahil yung u ay equal sa x, so yung u na yun papalitan siya ng x. So, x. Dahil ang a ay equal sa 2, so yung a na ito papalitan siya ng 2. So, 2 sine theta. Kaya rin kukuha tayo ng derivative both sides. So, meron tayong dx equals 2. Derivative of sine is cosine theta d theta. Okay. So, para sa x, meron tayong pang substitute 2 sine theta. Para sa dx, meron tayong pang substitute 2 cosine theta d theta. Ngayon, hahanapin naman natin ay yung pang substitute natin sa square root of 2 squared minus x squared or square root of 4 minus x squared. So, from x equals 2 sine theta, ito. So, if we're going to solve for sine theta, so sine theta will become x divided by 2. So, sine theta equals x divided by 2. Okay. Kaya rin nun, drawing natin yung right triangle defined by this function. Okay, so let us draw the right triangle. So let us say this is the angle theta. So when we say sine, this is opposite. So ito yon, no? Divided by the hypotenuse. So ito naman yung hypotenuse. Okay? 2. So, with respect to angle theta, this is the adjacent side. And then by Pythagorean Theorem, this will become square root of 4 minus x squared. Okay. So, dito natin nahanapin ngayon yung equivalent trigonometric function ng square root of 4 minus x squared. Okay? So, dito, ang i-involve natin ay yung 2 at saka yung adjacent side. No? So, adjacent side divided by the hypotenuse, yung 2. And that's cosine. No? So, meron tayong cosine theta equals adjacent side divided by the hypotenuse. No? So, meron tayong cosine theta. So, yung adjacent side natin, square root of 4 minus x squared. So, square root of 4 minus x squared. Tapos, yung ating hypotenuse ay yung 2. So, divided by 2. So, multiplying both sides by 2, so magkakaroon tayo ng 2 cosine theta equals square root of 4 minus x squared. Okay. So, yun ngayon yung equivalent ng square root of 4 minus x squared in terms of theta, 2 cosine theta. So, balik tayo sa problem. So, gagamit na tayo ngayon ng substitution. So, equals, okay? So, meron tayong integral sign. So, ito siya. Meron tayong dx. Pero ang dx equals sa 2 cosine theta d theta. So, palitan natin yun. 2 cosine theta d theta. Division line. No? Tapos, meron tayong x. Pero ang x equals sa 2 sine theta. So, palitan natin siya ng 2 sine theta. So, 2 sine theta. Tapos, naka-squared yung x. Kaya, square din natin. Okay. Tapos, yung square root of 4 minus x squared ay equals sa 2 cosine of theta. Yun, 2 cosine of theta. So, papalitan natin siya ng 2 cosine of theta. So, 2 cosine of theta. So, cancel ngayon ang 2 cosine theta. So, cancelin natin. 2 cosine theta. Okay? So, wala na ang 2 cosine theta. So, ang natira ay integral of, so natira sa numerator, d theta, tapos divided by, so 2 squared ay 4, tapos sine squared of theta. Okay, sine squared of theta. So, ating constant ay 1 divided by 4 or 1/4. So, lalabas natin siya ng integral sign. Yan, 1/4. 1 divided by 4 is 1/4. Tapos, integral sign. Yung 1 over sine squared equals sa cosecant squared. So, cosecant squared of theta. Tapos, yung d theta. Okay, so readily integrable na siya. Equals sa negative cotangent of theta. So, magiging negative 1/4 cotangent of theta and then plus c. Ngayon, yung cotangent theta, yung equivalent niya sa x ay gagamitin natin uli yung right triangle na ito, no? So, ang cotangent it is adjacent side divided by the opposite side. No? Square root of 4 minus x squared divided by x. So, mula rito, sa triangle na yan, so magkakaroon tayo ng negative 1/4. So, yung cotangent theta equals sa square root of 4 minus x squared. 4 minus x squared divided by x, no? And then plus c. Okay? Cotangent, adjacent side divided by the opposite side. So, meron tayong negative 1 times square root of 4 minus x squared ay negative square root of 4 minus x squared. Tapos, meron tayong 4 times x. So, that's 4x. No? And then, plus c. So, this is now our answer. No? So, negative square root of 4 minus x squared divided by 4x and then plus c.